And good morning from sunny South Africa, from me, Kobus Oosthuizen, and Dr. Jane Usher, MBA Director and Head of Department for Postgraduate Studies. Awesome, fantastic having you here with us on day 201 of lockdown in South Africa. We gathered here this morning to share with you information and the highlights is to provide some of our esteemed alumni to share a bit of their stories with you about their experience with us. But our endeavor is to provide you with enough information, sufficient information for you also to make an informed and an educated decision. So colleagues, without any further ado, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We are going to share the following with you this morning. I'm going to provide you with an overview of the school, and then Dr. Usher will come onto the screen or onto the stage, so to speak, proverbially, and she will then introduce our alumni and have a chat with them, after which we will look at admission requirements, the curriculum, and some of our online platform formation. And then just have an engagement, your questions. Please post them at the bottom of the screen. You'll see ask a question. You can post a question in there or make use of the chat functionality on the right of your screen. So colleagues, just by means of introduction, we are a private higher education institution that's been around for more than 20 years with more than 24 accredited programs, which ranges from the NQF 5 level right up to NQF 10, the doctoral level. In Melville is our physical, our contact campus. And then we also have campuses in Claremont in Cape Town. Claremont, that's where our head office is also situated. And then there's a smaller administrative campus in Westville in Durban. So just to give you a bit of a sense on our geographical footprint. Now, in the bigger scheme of things, let's just look a bit macro. Where do we fit into the bigger scheme of things? Now, Milpark Education is owned by Stadio Holdings, along with a number of other subsidiaries such as AFDA, Embury, Lysoft, Southern Business School, and the Prestige Academy. And Stadio Holdings is, of course, a listed entity, and you're most welcome to go and have a look at their website, stadio.co.za, to get more information on the holding company, as well as if you are interested in the stock exchange business, you can go and have a look on their performance on the exchange. Now, let's drill a level down into Milpark Education. There are 5 schools within Milpark Education, of which the Milpark Business School is the one school, and that's where we are visiting this morning, and we're so glad to have you. Then we have the School of Commerce, where the qualifications ranging from NQF level 5 up to NQF level 7 is situated. So there you have your high certificates, you have your bachelor's in business administration, bachelor's in commerce, and so forth. Then there is also the financial planning and insurance school, with a focus and an emphasis on the financial planning and insurance industry rather, going up to a qualification of postgraduate diploma in financial planning. The School of Investment and Banking is also situated in Cape Town, predominantly with distance learning, and they also have qualifications that range up to the bachelor's level. And then, of course, there's Milpark College for further education and training. So just to give you a sense of where the business school fits into the bigger scheme of things, the parent institution and the holding company. Now, as far as the business school is concerned, what we have on offer, as we said, at the NQF level 10 is the Doctor of Business Administration, which was launched in 2019. Very proud also now to have that the full range of academic offerings, which demonstrate our academic maturity. And of course, our crown jewel, the MBA, the Master of Business Administration at NQF level 9. There's the postgraduate diploma in business administration, or the PGD DIP in BA, as we talk internally about it. And then from next year, from 2021, we will also be offering the postgraduate diploma in public administration, the postgraduate diploma in investment management, and the postgraduate diploma in banking. And then, of course, any business school worth its salt has a strong executive education function in it. So we also provide that to corporate South Africa and beyond. There is also, of course, numerous short courses for continuous professional development. And then, of course, faculty is also engaged in consulting. So what is it that we get up to in the mornings? And I think it's important for you to know that when you consider making us your learning partner. So we empower future leaders to pursue ethical and sustainable business practices informed by the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, this is what inspires us, and this is what finds its way into the learning, in our research, in our consulting, and our teaching methodologies or our teaching philosophy. So this view of ours, we've built it on phronesis. It's a Greek term for practical wisdom coming from Aristotle, and it emphasizes not only the development, therefore, of great business leaders, but leaders for the common good. Hashtag common good. That is what we hang our hat on. And the team also has these nice shirts where we have hashtag common good. And the mantra that we live by is that tomorrow is beautiful because you and I, together as a collective, will make tomorrow beautiful. So just a bit about our ethos, and to share with you some of our badges. I think it's important. Of course, we're very proud of our MBA being AMBER accredited. And if I may boast for a moment, we are the only MBA that is AMBER accredited for both contact learning and online learning within the continent of Africa. So we're very proud of that achievement. We're also a member of the Association of African Business Schools, where we as a collective also discuss and pursue matters around management education for our continent. We're a member of the South African Business Schools Association. That's a local body of which there are 19 or 20 business schools that are part of that, where we also, although we're in competition perhaps, but we also cooperate on that particular forum as far as business school and management education is concerned in South Africa. We're also a member of the Business Graduates Associate, which is a sister entity of AMBER. Then, of course, Johannesburg Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we're also quite involved with. We are also, involved with the Responsible Research in Business Management, and of course, Prime PRME, the Principles of Responsible Management Education. And I invite you to also go and have a look at their website. What are those 6 principles that we as a school are committed to, along with many other business schools and universities across the world? And of course, just the last one there, PMR Africa, the 2020 survey to employees that measures employees with MBAs that come from the business schools in South Africa on 19 different criteria. We are also very proud there that we achieved 2nd position overall in South Africa on the PMR Africa rankings and ratings. So, friends, that's kind of a bit of just a very, very quick flyover on who we are and some of our achievements. I'm now going to go off stage and invite Dr. Jane Usher onto the stage, and then also introduce our alumni from there. And I'll talk to you later. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much, Kobus, for your introduction and for your welcome. And welcome to everybody who's taken the time out to be with us today. And I'd especially like to welcome our 2 alumni. We've got Tumelo and Mohammed, who are going to be chatting to us today. We've changed our format a little bit because we have got 2 very extremely busy alumni who are with us today. And I know that Mohammed has got another meeting, an international meeting he needs to go to. But he has said that he'll be a little bit late there. But I thought let's rather chat to our alumni first, give you an idea of how they managed to get through this grueling degree. It's not that bad, hey guys. And and then we will go into our admission requirements and all the other technical things beforehand. So welcome both of you. It's really good to see you both again together. And I'm going to start with Mohammed. Won't you tell us and tell everybody just a little bit about your MBA journey, what it's done for you, how you managed it a little bit, and what you're currently doing that was maybe a bit of a springboard from your MBA.
Sure, thank you, Jane, and good morning to everyone on the call. I think my journey pretty much started in 2008, where one of the gaps I realized within my own career was I wasn't able to really connect the various business functions that needed to come together in order to deliver on my business unit's value proposition. So there's a term that's commonly used. It says, are we able to connect the dots? And one of the aspects that drove me towards the MBA at Milpark specifically during my engagement with the team is that element came across really strongly in terms of giving you that practical wisdom that Kobus alluded to earlier. And that really I believe, assisted me in my career progression, both personally and professionally. So in terms of the journey itself, I think the MBA, the work itself, if for anybody in business, for anybody experienced in the corporate world, the concepts will resonate with you really well. I think what it will do, it would really complement your learnings by giving you grounded theoretical models that you're able to then utilize and structure yourself and your business units in a way where you set yourself up for success. So in terms of the knowledge gained through the MBA journey, for myself personally, it allowed me to really pull together different aspects of the business and offer unique perspectives and unique solutions to my ExCo and board members. And that's something that I believe would enable you within an institution with Milpark. What it's allowed me to do professionally is I currently head up digital and automation for the high net worth space in Standard Bank, South Africa, and the United Kingdom. And on a personal level, I have an academic consultancy where we render services to Milpark Business School for their Business in Emerging Markets module, which we'll speak to as well a little later. It takes discipline and it does take commitment. The work is not difficult, but the time that it will take during your 2-year journey is important. You need to dedicate yourself. You need to ensure you have the right support system around you so that your family and friends understand the journey that you have embarked on. And I think one of the most important elements for me, Jane, is how do you become future ready? And if there's anything that COVID and 2020 has taught us, is that you need to be able to be dynamic, and agile is absolutely critical. And the only way that we could supersede that of which robotics and digital can really offer us in the short term is through strategic insight and application. And how do you understand how to take theoretical concepts and realize value within the business world? Understand what it means from a world that doesn't really have geographic borders anymore, and how you can leverage digital across the business functions that exist within corporates today, fully understanding that these business functions will evolve and will change. So the need to be dynamic and agile and have that aspect of practical wisdom again comes in really strong. So I think from my perspective, Jane, that would be just a very short recap around what it is that potential students should look for and why they should opt for Milpark Business School.
Great, thanks, Mo. Jamila, what are your thoughts on why you decided to do your MBA as well? How did you get through it? You're also incredibly busy all over the place. And how did you actually manage to get through your work in terms of a work environment? Were you able to apply what you were learning at the time into into your work environment, and how was the journey for you?
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Asha, and good morning to everyone else. I think for me, maybe just to start off, it was always, let me say, it was always a dream of mine to basically do an MBA. But when it all started, was basically one wanted to do the course, but there was basically no support where I used to work. So the costs were basically not bearable from my side. But I think one day I woke up and I said, you know what? When I look at my career development and my forecast where I'm going, I could realize that I am able to provide a value to the business where I was working, but it actually fell short. And I realized that this course is basically what I needed. But then the challenge, because I was not at that point supported by my employer at that point. So what happened was that I had to look for a program that will basically fit my needs. One of the key needs with an MBA, as Mohammed mentioned, is that time is actually quite key. You need to make sure that you make time for the course. And for me, I couldn't get time off work. So then I realized that Milpark had a distance learning option, which was fitting very well with my my work and life setup. So I think that was one of the key aspects that drew me into this program. Secondly, I think the module mix for me was talking to my career, because at that point I was basically more in the audit space. And then I needed something that would give me a rounded appreciation of the various disciplines within a corporate world. Because my career is in the corporate space. So that course for me really helped me to get me rounded, appreciate the rest of the disciplines within an organization. And I think for me, when I look back in terms of how basically the course helped me, I think Mohammed mentioned all those issues around giving you the practical wisdom in terms of strategy management, looking at current issues and stuff like that. And I think for me, it went beyond that, because I basically realized that I think after the first year, then you actually get more, people tend to look at you differently. And I mean, in a space of 2 years, I actually moved about 3 or 4 positions before I even complete the course. And as we speak now, I'm actually with Anglo Gold Ashanti. I am the Vice President for Sustainability, more focusing on community relations. So I think the course has come in very handy for me, because I mean, at this day and age, when you deal with community external stakeholders, they come in various sizes, various forms, they've got different challenges. And when I look at the fire that I went through with this course, because unfortunately, MBA will basically put you through a gas burner. By the time you come out there, you will be refined, retuned, you can basically take any role, because it exposes you to quite a lot of things that can happen within a corporate. So that has definitely helped me. I think it's at this stage, I find myself excelling in my work, mainly because of the knowledge that I gained from the course. So yeah, I can say for me, it has really helped and assist in furthering my career. And I look forward to basically maybe moving ahead as well in my career. Yeah, so maybe that will be maybe my first comments for now, Dr. Asha.
Great. Oh, thanks, Jamila. And so you did distance learning, which can in itself seem a bit that you may be isolated in it, but you did have syndicate work. How did you manage to work with your syndicate groups on the project basis? What mechanisms did you put in place? How did you manage that from a distance learning perspective when you were busy with those hectic modules?
I think overall, the course will actually teach you one thing. My favorite sport is tennis, and I think if you've noted how the tennis players, especially the professional ones, they actually play one point at a time. Whatever happened in the previous point, they quickly forget about it and move on to the next point. So I think that's what the course helped me, because you basically, as I say, the syndicate group, and there's a lot of application that needs to take place with the work that you're being taught at the class. And you're also short in terms of time available for you to do work, to have your family as well as your studies. So the syndicate group was actually quite good, because it taught us basically to be able to not only delegate, but to rely on the strengths of your various team members. Because what you learn from MBA, you might be good with one module because maybe you're exposed through your career history and stuff like that. But there will be new modules that you don't even know a thing about, and you rely more on your networks, you rely more on the team that you have in your syndicate group. So I think for me, that those were the actually key gains that I got from the process. And I think time management for me was basically one of the key things, where you basically need to make sure that you are very disciplined when it comes to time. Because if, for me, I used to go to work, and then after work, I need to have that 1 hour, 2 hour family time. Thereafter, it's time for online courses, and it's time for my preparation for schoolwork, as well as the assignments and stuff like that. And then you need to make sure that you are quite disciplined, because your other team members also rely on your discipline. If you're not disciplined, then you're breaking the relations with your team members. So yeah, I think it's been quite an eye-opener for me as well in that regard.
Yeah, and that's always quite can be a bit tricky with your syndicate group. Mo, you did contact learning. How did you manage with your syndicates? What approach did you take? Yeah.
I think I always said doing the MBA with Milpark gives you a default qualification in project management. You know, I mean, it had its challenges. I would, at the time, I traveled quite a bit to the office. I would leave the office at 4:30 every day to come through to the Milpark campus in Melville, where I attended the lectures contact basis, as Jane has alluded to. But what I also decided for me, I think my personal preference for learning has always been contact-based. So perhaps that has changed a lot post-COVID. But at the time, I found a sense of comfort being on the campus, in the libraries, and with my syndicate groups. So as such, I used to be on campus 7 days a week. So even though I didn't have any classes on a Saturday and Sunday, because I opted to take the weekday modules, I was there with my syndicate groups. We would have rigorous debates around the topics that were covered during the week. We'd unpack assignments. We'd basically try and extend the learning outcomes of the modules so that we could really challenge the faculty at Milpark. And I think that was something that also came out as a plus for us, because as much as we tried to extend the constraints of the modules, the faculty were also great in terms of their outlook and their knowledge and their experience. So they were able to bring good insights into the challenges that we put forward, and really gave us the ability to take the issues at hand and go and test it practically within the workforce. And for me, that worked really well. So you learn a model, you understand challenges around it, you apply it within your corporate environment, you realize the benefit, and then you come back and do a bit of a playback to your syndicate group and to your classmates. And I think for me that really worked well. So being contact for me was fully contact 7 days a week for 2 years. But like I said, that worked really well for me. The support on campus was phenomenal. And I think that physical interaction, which I believe now we all appreciate just a little bit more, was definitely something that assisted us in reaching our ambitions as it pertained to the MBA modules.
Great. Thanks, Mo. So now I want to talk a little bit about the 2 electives that we've got, and I'll explain all the modules and what happens. But you both did different electives. However, there is a synergy between the two of you on this. So, Mo, will you tell us first about the elective that you did? And then I'm going to speak to, then we'll chat to Tumelo about his elective and then how you two, I want to say, know each other from that. So if you tell us a little bit about your elective and then Tumelo about his.
Okay, perfect. So Jane, business in emerging markets is the module, and I think at the point in time where I embarked on my MBA journey, I think what really came about is part of the MBA experience, and maybe at this point, just to mention, it's not what the MBA can do for you, but what you can do with the MBA. And that was something that my syndicate group and I were quite keen on. And Dr. Oosthuizen presented an opportunity for us to present at the Global Social Venture Competition, which was being held in India. And this is pretty much a business plan competition that sort of incorporated all business schools globally. And I must say we were quite lucky that we finished off in the top 10 globally, and we won first prize in terms of the Asia-Africa regions, meaning all business schools across China, India, and Africa. We were able to demonstrate business acumen and application of knowledge, which I think comes out quite strongly in the way that the MBA is structured, notwithstanding the benefit of culture. And that's something else that Milpark offers you. So it's not just around the academic aspects of it, it's around the cultural components. How do you interact, embrace around diversity and inclusion, and working with different people from different walks of life. So as part of that whole experience, that gave rise to the Business in Emerging Markets module as an elective. And what the elective entails is really understanding, now that we operate on a global economy, what does it actually mean for us? We see a lot of corporates looking to tap into an emerging market. What does an emerging market mean? Why are these emerging markets so enticing for these corporates? And why are they so primed for growth? And in looking at these markets and understanding the different aspects, be it culture, be it infrastructure, be it the political stability of these countries, you're actually given first-hand experience within one of the BRICS countries. So we've been to Brazil, India, China numerous times, and we pleased to announce that next year we'll be covering Russia as well. And you have the opportunity to really apply your learnings on your MBA module. So all the knowledge that you've acquired over the 2-year period, you can really come in and start applying it in terms of engagement with senior management at some of the larger blue chip organizations. We'll also look at your fintechs and your startup companies to understand what are some of their challenges and how do you overcome aspects like cultural nuances, economic uncertainty, foreign exchange risk, etc. Because as we operate in this global economy, surely each of us on the call today deal cross-border on a daily basis. And what needs to happen in order to realize benefit and value for your organizations and perhaps even for your own personal companies, I think is of pivotal importance. And this, we've had alumni that has now started up their own companies based on the exposure that they've had either in China or India. We've had alumni that have formed partnerships with some of the organizations or companies specifically around the IT startup businesses in India that are now offering sort of value to their local businesses in South Africa. So Jane, to answer your question, for me, it's all about the Business in Emerging Markets module. And as I often say, you haven't done an MBA unless you've done Business in Emerging Markets.
And that wouldn't be because you lecture on that module.
Okay. No, that has nothing to do with it.
Tumelo, tell us your decision on, why you did the Business in Emerging Markets and your experience of when we were overseas in India.
Yeah, I think for me, when I looked at that module, I think to me it was more of a culmination of everything that I absorbed from the first year until the last semester of the second year, which for me was a rounding off quite a lot of modules that we're exposed to. I think there was a beautiful, if I can put it that way, dovetailing between the global trade course as well as this business in emerging markets, because I think the global trade was maybe a good precursor because it actually exposed you to applied economics, applied political, let's call it political science. But then when you, as you've been mentioning earlier on, Mohammed, that when you look at the theory, it's very good and beautiful because it's based on perfect scenarios. But then when you have to apply those, it's basically you're looking at the real scenarios that have got a lot of curveballs. And when we were traveling with the team, I think Mo was leading the pack for us, and it was basically an eye-opener. I must say, for me, it was basically a rude awakening, because sometimes, you know, when you are locked into the confines of a particular country like South Africa, and I think I've been exposed into the African continent, but not to the Asian continent. And I think when you arrive there, you basically, at the first point of engaging with the region, you actually see a lot of differences as well as a lot of commonalities between the different countries. And for me, what was quite key as well was you learn basically how people can basically make something out of nothing. And I think if you look at the rigor some of the regions put into business as well as entrepreneurship, it basically will blow your mind. I think one learned a lot from that. And I think for me, what was also key with this business in emerging markets, it has actually, as I said, in my field, I'm more into the external relations. I think when it comes to government relations, I think it has taken me a step further, because your socio-political analysis in terms of how your corporate, your company or your corporate setup is exposed to, you actually tend to understand that much better after that course. And you also have a very good reference. I think one thing that was also very informative for me was when we basically had quite a lot of lecturers as well as guest speakers on tour from India. I think we're based in New Delhi, and I tell you, it was quite a very interesting exposure for us, because you were more like doing another MBA in another country, but there as well, everything is compressed to maybe 5 hours. You need to absorb as much as possible, and then thereafter you go to the streets of New Delhi, understand how people do business. The next day you're visiting corporates. I think I was lucky to basically have good connection with the Tata Group. I think that really took me a step further in me understanding how these major multinational companies are set up and how they basically deal with all these economic turmoils, opportunities that are actually that they're exposed to. So I think for me, it was a very, very good exposure. I will really recommend this one for all the people who are actually planning to do this course. And not that you only get to travel with a well traveled lecturers like Mo as well as Dr. Asha. I think it's really a good culmination of everything that you've learned. Brings everything together, and then after that, you definitely will really want feel that you basically didn't get your money's worth from this MBA.
Yeah, that's great. I must say it is an extremely valuable module that we do. And so I'd like to thank you both. I know that you're busy and have other calls and that to attend to, but hopefully we will interact definitely on other things that we need to be doing. Guys, thank you so much. We really appreciate your insights and your help. And just your experience that you are sharing with everybody. You've both done this extremely well and are carrying on the trajectory. So we're proud of what you are accomplishing and what you're doing. And I'm going to let you guys go now, and I will get on with the nitty-gritty and the technical information that you already know. So thank you so much. We'll be in touch, and we really appreciate your time.
You're most welcome. Thank you, Dr. Jane.
Thank you, Dr. Jane. I think I must say, maybe just my last words before I go is that one thing that most people will realize, especially once they embark on the course, is that when you do your research, it's basically a tough situation, because now you rely on people you don't know, and you are actually going to engage with people that you don't see, and you've never met, and you'll never met after the course or after the research. But what it did for me was that I actually realized how vulnerable I was during that research. And after the course, I find myself basically helping a lot of MBA students, because for me, I realized that, you know what, somebody helped me to complete my degree, and then I also need to extend the help to the next student. So that will be my challenge to everyone who's a prospective MBA student at Milpark, to the fact that someone will help you, and you also need to extend the help. I think I'm also very much appreciative of the support structure within the Milpark Business School, the program managers on campus, which we never met face-to-face, but I think they were very supportive online and offline. Anytime we're able to call those people to assist, you've got a student support line that works very well. So I think for me, I've already recommended this MBA close to about 6 or 7 of my colleagues that are already going through the program. So yeah, I think if people are interested, they may try it, and then some of us who are alumni will be there to support you guys as you do your research programs. Anytime you can contact us, and then we'll be able to assist you with the research programs. Thanks a lot.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Jamil. And that's very valuable to get assistance from a mentor who's gone through the program. It really is one of the things that our alumni are fantastic at. So thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Sure.
Cheers. Right, so I'm going to go into the admission requirements now. And if Kobus can just move from our badges and awards to the first table that we have on what do you need to have and to have done and to have as your basis in terms of doing both the postgraduate diploma in business administration as well as the MBA, because there are a few areas that are similar. So one of your foundations is that you need to have reliable access to internet. That's really important because a lot of your work is done online, whether it's submitting your assessments and assignments. So that is a prerequisite. You need to have that. You need to have a little bit of computer savvy, which I think we probably all have increased our knowledge on kind of tech, what we need to do and how to go about that. So those are the 2 things that you would need for your postgraduate degree. Then again, for your PGDBA, your postgraduate diploma in business administration, there you need a recognized bachelor's degree. And that must exit at NQF level 7, because your postgraduate degree is at an NQF level 8. So you're moving 1 up. You need to be proficient in English because this degree is given to you, is done in English. So you need to be able to write, read, present in English. And we do have a Milpark assessment test that our postgraduate students also do, and you need to have an acceptable rating there. And this is part and parcel of the whole admission process for both the qualifications, and I'll explain a little bit more about that later. For your master's in business administration, so your MBA, to use the acronym, you need to now have a recognized honors degree or postgraduate diploma, and that must exit at level 8. So if you've done our postgraduate diploma in business administration, you could move on to the MBA. Again, proficient in English, and you do the assessment test. But if you have done the postgrad and you've done the assessment test there, you don't do it again. So you move on seamlessly onto your MBA. The only things there that you do is an interview, and you have to give us your CV and a motivation as to why you want to do the MBA. So MBA, looking at this, you need to have a minimum of 4 years relevant work experience. And the reason that we say you need to have work experience is because you are applying what you are learning straight into your work environment. So everything is application based and project based. And you need to be able to interact with your colleagues and your fellow students as to what works, what didn't work. So you need to have some work experience, and we've put that as 4 years. We have a Milpark CV template that we require you to complete, and that is an AMBER requirement for the Association of MBAs when they come and do their visits with us. So they have a look at that. We want to see only a one-page essay motivating as to why we would admit you. Why do you want to do the MBA? What is it going to do for you? What are you going to do for your organization and the community at large with your MBA? So we want you to do that, and then you need to have an interview with the program manager, which would be, these days it is online, depending on what happens next year and where you are in the world. If you opt for contact learning, it could be face-to-face. However, we are doing them online, and it gives you a sense of what the program is like, what the institution is like, gives you a far better in-depth understanding of the requirements from your side, what we expect from you, from a time commitment, how your subjects work. So some technical aspects are discussed, and so that you can make a really good and informed decision on what you are, which institution you're going to go to, and know the expectations so that you can put your structures in place. So now I want to tell you a little bit about the subjects that you would do in each of the qualifications, and you can see that there is some red on the slide, and I know we don't normally put red on presentations. However, it's just to show you that one of the modules on the postgraduate diploma is Management, Accounting and Finance, Part 1. Now, that is also covered in your MBA, but if you do it on the postgrad, you don't need to do it again on the MBA because you get an exemption. However, and I hate it when people say however or but, there's just one small proviso. In order for you to be successful in this module, we know that people sometimes do come into an MBA from an undergraduate degree where it's not a BCom, so you haven't done financial management before, or you do not work in the financial services sector or a financial management position with accounts. So what we require is that you would do an Introduction to Financial Management short course. And that really just gives you the foundation and basis in order to be successful, to build on that for your management, accounting and finance module that you do. Looking at our postgraduate diploma, you have a general management environment that gives you the foundation for what happens in an organization, and you touch on areas such as finance, marketing, people management, operations. You start seeing how they form the foundation for an organization and how you build on that. That is also covered in your MBA, and you would get an exemption on your MBA if you do your postgrad first with us. Then we have business ethics and corporate governance. Again, it is a module that is done on both of the qualifications. We've seen how business ethics is a really, really important element in business today. It's quite vital that we understand it, that we practice that, as with corporate governance. And so that's a really valuable module that is a foundation module to set the ethos and the way you work and understand business from then. We also do social responsibility and environmental management. And here it is really giving back to the communities that we are involved in, taking into account our environmental management. And this works directly with the Sustainable Development Goals. And so that you can see that what you do in the small way does work towards us achieving those SDGs, those Sustainable Development Goals. And within all the modules, we've brought in aspects and a focus on the SDGs so that you have a good understanding on sustainability. And you heard from Tumelo, that is what he is now moved into within the organization, within Anglo Gold Ashanti that he's in now. So it is an important part of your knowledge and being able to apply your knowledge into those communities. So those are the modules that are in grey that are common to both of the qualifications. And your management, accounting and finance, I'll show you on the next slide when we get there as to where it fits in your MBA. So we'll focus again on the postgrad, and that is you do a design thinking and problem solving module, which is really exciting, hands-on. You get thrown curveballs, you work in syndicate groups, and a very dynamic and quite quickly changing module that you do. And it's based on a customer-centric viewpoint and a human viewpoint of how you solve problems. Also, the next module is strategic management. You need to be cognizant of strategy. How do you apply it? What decisions do you need to be taking in terms of moving your business forward or keeping it moving? So that's one of your modules that you would end off with it, and it also takes into account all the other information and knowledge that you've gained through the modules preceding this. And we do research methodology. And the research methodology that we do here is to start getting you acquainted with how do you find relevant data? What is a problem? What is a challenge? And you look at a challenge within your organization and you use secondary data here to use reports, find out, are they actually, is it proper data, or are you getting all the information that you have from Facebook, Twitter, Wikipedia, so database or sources of data that might not really be true. And we encourage you to start looking at what data is and how important it is in when you make decisions. And you do a research report there. That also sets you up to enable you to search when you do assignments and research for your other modules going forward. And then if you have done those modules on your postgrad, you are now done and you graduate and you can move on to the business, the MBA. And there we recap with business report writing. We do some stats so that it gets you familiar with the importance of stats and how you could use it in your research and your dissertation and other areas within your work. You'll see there's another module on research, and it's advanced research methodology. This is getting you ready to do your dissertation, your full research dissertation and project that you're going to look at. And this is where you start honing your topic for this important part of your journey. And it is an important part because what we're wanting you to do is to solve a real life challenge and problem within your business or your community where that you can make a difference. So it's not something that's just going to sit on a shelf in the library or a digital shelf in a digital library. We want you to take your research, work with it, and present it either at conferences to your organization to actually solve a challenge in your business. We also do people management because we need people to be in our organizations, whether it's a small organization, an SME, a big organization. How do you work with them? How do you find the right skills? And how do you make sure that they do the jobs that they are needing to do, that they're wanting to do, to make the organization a success? Operations and technology management, also very important. It's the engine room of a business. How does it operate? What do you need to put in place? And technology management, very important. And I think we're seeing it more and more these days, how important this is. How do you manage this element in your business? Marketing and sales management are also very important. You need to be able to understand what is marketing, how do you put together a proper marketing strategy and plan, and how does sales then work within that plan to support what your business needs in order to get your business moving, and you need to be selling. So what are those elements that we put in there? And what we also are looking at is digital marketing, social marketing. It's a really important facet of marketing and sales these days. So how do you make use of it and in a proper and effective manner? So it's not all just fun and pictures and that. There's a lot of information you can glean through the strategies that you put in place. So that then you have finished your first year in your master's qualification. And when you move to the second year, you have a few remaining modules that you are carrying on with. And there you can see we've got management, accounting, and finance. That's your part one. Now, if you've done your postgrad, you've done that module. So you've saved a bit of time and money there. You also have leadership and change management. Again, leadership we can see is an important part of business. We have an issue worldwide in terms of good leadership. Change, how do you manage change? That's been around for a long time and we still haven't actually got it right. So there's no magic recipe for change. So what do you do as a leader when you have a situation that we've all landed in this year? How does leadership from a personal, professional, interpersonal perspective, what do you need to be doing? What do you need to understand in order to lead yourself, your teams, and your organizations to manage these big changes that are coming upon us and that will still come towards us? How do you manage that? As Tumelo said, global trade, that is looking at economics, and that helps you if you're going to do both of your electives would take into account economics, the impact that it has on decisions that you make within your business. A very important module there, and it's some people find it a bit daunting. However, when you put your mind to it and you start understanding the bigger picture, and as Mohammed said, connecting the dots, it starts to resonate. Then you'll be doing your dissertation, and this is more where you work with your supervisor, they guide you, they help you with this, but it is your project, and we expect as adults you take ownership of your project, why you want to do it, and that you work quite closely with both your supervisor as well as our administrators and our support here. And that, excuse me, it takes a long time to do. It's worth a lot of credits. And as Tumelo said, this can be quite a difficult module because you are on your own to a certain extent. So you need to reach out and get support there. Then you can see we've got management, accounting, finance part 2 that builds on your part 1. This is more corporate finance. What decisions do you need to be able to understand and make within a corporate environment? And again, this is now you're heading towards the end of your degree, and the information and the knowledge you've gained and inculcated throughout your journey is also brought to the fore here. Then we look at your 2 elective. I forgot your integrated business strategy. That's an incredibly important capstone module where at the moment we're doing a simulation. You work on live businesses, you're in your syndicate groups, you make decisions, they're tracked, and you do a report on this, and you do a presentation to a panel of experts. And this is your capstone module that you do with us. Then I'm going to move on to our electives, which is your business in emerging markets. You've heard a lot about that. A very fun and dynamic module where you do have an international immersion for a week to 10 days. And we've got entrepreneurship and innovation, which is, again, an important part of what we need as a country for people to become more entrepreneurial, to be able to start their own businesses. And in this module, we take you through how do you actually get an idea that's feasible, right through to a business case where you're looking at your financials, your marketing. How are you going to get the resources and the people that you need to work on this business with you? There again, you do a presentation and a report. You do a live presentation to a panel of experts. They may be venture capitalists. They may want to invest in your business. And we have had that before. So again, you can choose from either of these electives. If you want to do both, you're welcome to do both. Is one of those electives. And then I'm going to move on and quickly, I see we're running out of time, just to talk a little bit about our distance learning online platform, because it is newer than slightly newer than contact learning. The way we do this, it is self-directed. You have got a detailed timetable study plan that you know exactly what is required from you at any given time in the time that you're doing specific modules. You have a lecturer, one lecturer to 25 people in your online in your online classroom. You have regular live sessions with your lecturer, with your classmates, and these are mandatory. We expect you to be in those sessions because that's where a lot of learning happens, a lot of your questions can be answered, and you start forming your relationships with your fellow students within these online sessions. And then you're obviously going to still chat to them offline because that's your support structure. And you will also be doing your syndicate groups online, in the virtual platform. But we found that it has worked very well. Students who opt for the online delivery have got connections with people who are studying from the UK, from China. We've got students from further up in Africa, from Namibia, and whether it's just geographically from Cape Town and Durban and Joburg, people are very agile and make really good connections with their fellow students in terms of these online forum engagements. So that's what is required from a curriculum point of view, from the online delivery point of view. And if you need a little bit more information, then our program managers will help you with that, to decide on what modules you need to take when, the actual nitty-gritty of the process, but we're also available for further discussions on what you may need. And I'm going to hand over quickly now to Kobus to talk about the choices that you've got and just round off this session. And I'd like to say thank you, everybody, for attending and for listening to us. And if there are any questions, please let us know. Kobus, over to you.
Jane, thank you so much. An awesome session. And, every time I listen to our alumni, that's the real change makers out in the real world, that's it. I'm reminded why we do what we do. And recently there was also an alumni that's launching a new book and is doing great things in the world of business, and so many others. The list goes on and on. But it's these reminders of the small part that we've played and journeyed with them in helping them, supporting them to achieve these great heights in their lives, and it makes one so proud to hear about their achievements. So, colleagues, it was awesome having you here today. We really, really thank you for your valuable time. And there's a lot of information that's been provided. The session is recorded, though, so in the event if you wanted to come back to it and maybe just pick up on a few items. But I just want to leave you at a high level with a few considerations as to why we believe we would make a wonderful and a learning partner for you in the next phase of your learning journey in the overall journey we call life. Reminded about the AMBER accreditation, that we are the only online MBA or Amber Accredited MBA in Africa. Well, the only one both online and and contact learning. Reminded of our achievement in the PMR ratings for 2020, second overall in the country, which makes us very proud. We are convinced, and we would argue this, that our course content is contemporary, it's relevant. In other words, it's contextual. It looks at things that's playing out as we speak here. And therefore, it is important that our facilitators come from industry. They are very experienced, so that those real-life scenarios could also be drawn into the classroom. And then we believe firmly that in order to really learn and to grow, you need to engage all three modes of learning, the head, the heart, and the hands. And that is what we endeavor in our learning environment that we create for our students, whether contact and online, to really have that growth experiences. So for us, for the team, and for the institution, our students are therefore the focus in this teaching and learning transaction. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, of a takeaway at the end of a very exciting discussion that we've had. We really hope that you have sufficient information to make an educated and an informed decision. And as Jane said early on, please talk to us if there's any uncertainties or the like. So we really appreciate each one of you. Be strong, be safe. And if you go into the remainder of this day and tomorrow and day after, remember, tomorrow is beautiful. We thank you for your time.